In the last video, we talked about how CEOs manage stress, and that corresponds with time, but there was a whole range of other factors that showed just how detrimental stress can be to somebody who's in leadership, and how just with a few changes, couple little systems here and there, that you can turn that into a massive gold mine, not just with money, but with the richness of an abundant life. And so in this video, we're going to talk specifically about time and how good leaders manage time. And it's not what you think. It's not about good, sweet time management, this next technique. It's a lot simpler than you think, but a lot of people don't learn this, and a lot of people don't teach this. And it's really what the ultra successful business owners know that allow them to grow multiple businesses, okay? So we're going to get into that. But first, what is up? My name is Dean Soto. I am the founder of prosulum.com, prosulum.com. What does that mean? It's Latin. It sounds cool, but we are a virtual assistant agency. I shouldn't say a virtual assistant. We are a virtual staffing agency, because a virtual assistant, you give them a task. If you've ever heard of a virtual assistant, today is one of those days. You give them a task, and they will ask a question and another question, another question, another question. Hopefully they'll get the task done correctly. And then you give them another task, and it's that same thing. You get sucked back in. You can't scale. You're constantly being the babysitter. And that's with an employee. That's with a virtual assistant. That's with any type of remote worker, contractor, and so on. We have what are called virtual systems architects. You show them what to do. They document it, boom, 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 step by step. You do a 5-minute video, a 10-minute video. They document that into a procedure with pictures and everything that's so easy that even your grandma can do it. You can give your grandma that process document, and she'll do it. And she'll demand payment in some fashion or another, maybe to visit her grandkids or something. Bring the grandkids. Come on, let's go. You give them another task. They document it, and then they do it. Notice how I didn't say they ask questions? Because they just document exactly what you did into a procedure, and then they do it. And you give them 30 tasks. That's 30 procedures that you never, ever have to do ever again in your business, so you can scale. Start a new business. Let this business run without you. Start the next one. Do the same thing. Start the next one. Do the same thing. And if that sounds good to you, go check out prosulum.com, www.prosulum.com. If you really are ready to go to www.prosulum.com/schedule. And that being said, let's get into it, my friends. All right. So CEO's dilemma, right? When I say CEO, you might not be the CEO. I'm talking about leader's dilemma. If I say CEO, it means the leader, okay? The visionary, the one who is moving the ship in that direction. We need to go that way, okay? All right. So the way CEOs spend their time has an outsized influence on performance, engagement, and company culture, okay? So every decision that you make, every little bit amount of time has a multiplying effect. You are the water that allows your business to grow. Now, if you are constantly being squeezed by the weeds of things like meetings and so on and so forth, then you are doing your business a disservice. If you're constantly in meetings, you're constantly being asked, how do we do this? How do we do that? How do we do that? Oh my gosh, this came up. And it's fire. Then your business is literally being choked by these weeds of meetings and questions and authority. You don't have you never delegated authority to anyone, and so on and so forth. Very rarely do you find CEOs who work alone in deep work, who travel to meet other people, who are calling high end clients, people who are very important to the business, or going to public events. A lot of the times it's meetings, a lot of the times it's solving problems. Okay. And so this is where a good CEO needs to start looking at really where they're spending their time. Okay. When you don't have control and boundaries over your calendar, when you don't have control and boundaries over tasks and who is supposed to do them and how are they supposed to do them, then you get put into what is called the unexamined calendar. Because even if you know, crap, I'm in too many meetings, if you don't know how to get out of this and why you're there in the first place, you're not really truly examining why you are in the predicament that you are. So the unexamined calendar, the boundaryless calendar, the systemless calendar is back-to-back meetings. Meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, because nothing truly is getting done without you. You either are having to make decisions, you're either having to teach people, you're either having to coach people, you're having to do things that are not effective as a leader. So back-to-back meetings, reactive to other people's priorities, putting out fires constantly, answering questions constantly, giving approvals constantly, not having the ability to strategically think, to get into deep work, to even meditate. And you're constantly under a time pressure, always. Whether that's, I need to get all my work done by 5 o'clock so I can get home to my family because I've been 2, 3, 4 hours late for the last 3 weeks. Or this project needs to get finished because we promised it last week. That is what an unexamined calendar looks like. Now, an examined calendar, one where everything is on there for a reason. You'll have intentional time blocks. Now, when I say this, people are going to say, yeah, that's time management 101. No, time management is nothing compared to the way things actually should be. Time management are just little techniques to help solopreneurs. Okay. Maybe the time chunking method or the Pomodoro method, or maybe it's really blocking time to be available for these meetings and doing little buffer zones and things like that. No. Intentional time blocks it's on your calendar because you actually truly, truly need to be doing that thing. Because they're aligned with your strategic priorities. There's a big difference between having chunked out, optimized meetings on your calendar and being only at the one meeting that you actually need to be at. Because the other 10 meetings that you were able to offload now have procedures and you've delegated authority for those things to happen. And you have metrics to make sure that those things are actually happening. A good calendar has protected time for just thinking. To go to the as a CEO, you need to be going to places where you can even just go and meditate, go and be in silence to allow your brain to stop for a little while. I used to go to this place called True Rest, and I'm probably going to end up going back, but it's okay for you to meditate 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, an hour and a half a day, 2.5 hours a day, because ideas come to you. One of my best marketing ideas came to me while meditating, and it's doing very, very, very well. And it utilizes AI in a way that other people are not utilizing right now. But that came through meditation. And then ultimately, there's a balance between internal and external focus. All the internal things that internal from the company, internal from you, and then external from things like marketing to taking care of your existing prospects and so on and so forth. Okay. There's no single way to manage time. Okay. However, I will argue that there is a single framework that'll allow you to start picking the type of CEO that you want to be. There are several types of CEOs, and each CEO has these kind of like 4 archetypes. You have the structured versus open CEO. For me, I'm an open CEO, but there's been so many times where I'm like, man, it would be so cool to be a structured CEO. For me, friends of mine like Matt and Damon, they're structured CEOs. Eric, Ray, these guys are structured CEOs and they run big time businesses. Versus me, who's an open CEO. Okay. The structured CEOs like having booked calendars, like having things laid out, structured meetings, very much using things like the entrepreneur operating system via the book Traction or the Vern Harnish's scaling up system. Versus some CEOs who are much more open, where things are open for a reason because you never know where you're going to go. For me, it might be meditating here. For you, it might be going, if you're another open CEO, it might be going on a vacation and you know that you're going to get some good ideas there. It might be being open to new networking opportunities, things like that. Okay. You also have drumbeat versus flow. You have the ones that the EOS is like this, right? The entrepreneur operating system. If you use that, you have the pulse. Boom, boom. You're having meetings. You're having rocks. You're having measurable things, measurable metrics, right? Versus flow, letting things happen when they're supposed to happen and adapting as things come. Okay. And then you have the operator versus counselor, right? You have the operator who's wants to be in the day-to-day, doesn't have to be, can easily step out, but likes being part of the day-to-day, versus the counselor who's more focused on the strategic thinking and coaching and let's get other people to take on these responsibilities. And then you have the ambassador who's much more of the public facing role, who's out there having fun, doing all those things, versus the quarterback who likes being a part of the team and is like passing the baton to people. You get out and go to this place and be the face over here. You go out and do this and so on and so forth. But all of these are possible. There's no right or wrong on these. There's no right or wrong when it comes to these, but none of them will succeed without a structured framework of systems. Okay. None of these, whether you're the structured CEO or the open CEO, you need to have systems or else you are going to be sucked in. Okay? Drumbeat versus flow. The drumbeat you can end up becoming too micromanaging. Hey, boom, 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 versus the flow CEO who's flowing to the next fire. Neither's bad, but when you don't have systems, when you don't have the ability for other people to have documentation of how to do certain things, each one is going to end up crashing. The operator. This is one that is deadly when it comes to not having documented systems because and documented processes, like in a checklist where other people can do things, because once they get into a day-to-day operation, they can't leave, right? They get engaged into the day-to-day operations, constantly micromanaging, hands-on approach, things like that, and they find themselves becoming a linchpin in something that they should not even be a part of. Okay. The counselor can't even get anything done because they're not even in the really liking being in the day-to-day operations, but they're like, "Hey, you do it. This is what I need you to do. You got this." And then it gets done wrong because nobody can read their mind, and they get sucked into the day-to-day, which they don't want to be a part of. Okay. The ambassador can't be the ambassador, can't be free to be who they truly are because they have in the back of their mind, they have all these other things that they need to do, right? They can't go give 200 plus speeches because they know that if they go give one speech, they're going to get 50 freaking fires thrown back right at them when they get back to the office, as opposed to if they had checklists and documentation and other people are doing everything, they come back and they look at their dashboard and they go, "Oh, cool. Yeah, everything's good." And the quarterback can't delegate, can't pass the ball, can't have people go and do what they need to do because once again, he goes and tries to tell them and pass the baton, and everyone starts crashing and burning because they have no clue what needs to be actually done, or they are constantly asking questions, right? But these archetypes are awesome. The structured versus the open, the drumbeat versus the flow, and you can copy this, you can look at this. The operator versus the counselor, and the ambassador versus the quarterback, all awesome. But if you have no boundaries, it ain't gonna happen. Any systems, documented systems and processes, ain't gonna happen. Okay, so this is where no becomes almost by default a natural thing when you have documented processes, documented systems. You don't even have to say no necessarily because you can say, here's the process for that. Rather than saying, this is not my lane, you say, well, here's the process for that. You're saying no. You're saying no to a whole bunch of things, but it allows you to start saying no to meetings without clear agendas, allows you to say no to tasks that can be delegated to the right person because they can do it without question because it's easy to read, it's easy to do. You can say no that don't align with your strategic priorities because it's not part of your lane. Just like they wouldn't want you to jump into something that they are good at and want to do and you're not. Likewise, you're able to say, no, here's the process for that. You get to say no to activities that drain your energy. All right. To me, saying no does not come natural. And so when I have a way of saying, here's the process for that, here's the would someone like to take this? Would someone would like to take this on? That's how I say no. I don't need to say no, I'm not coming to this meeting. I can say, hey, is there an agenda for this meeting? No? Okay, well, let me know, like, the process for setting the meeting, just so you guys are aware. If you go to process 3.06, this is what's needed in order to have a meeting with me in it. There you go. So let me know if it fits. Okay. So you're allowed, it makes it very easy as a CEO to say no, because you're not really saying no. You're saying, here's how to do it the right way. So if it's not on the calendar as a CEO, it doesn't exist. Now, I'm pretty free flowing with this. It doesn't have to be a hard, fast rule, but you have people like the Whole Foods CEO who is like every Friday he does store visits. He time blocks everything on his schedule. And so whatever the task is, there's a block for it. The cool thing is there are tools out there that naturally do this. So I have an app called Motion. I think it's Use Motion. And what it does is you can add all these tasks and it'll put the tasks via AI onto your calendar in the most efficient way. And so your entire calendar is blocked up. And if you need to add an event, you can add an event. It'll know when you're busy, it'll know when you're not busy, and so on. And that way, your entire day is accounted for with tasks. I use that a lot, but I also am pretty free flowing. Sometimes I won't have everything blocked off. I'm not a Nazi when it comes to this. For me, the systems is the most important thing. Okay. This is the thing, is that multitasking is a myth. Okay. Like, if you're a CEO, you cannot multitask. If you're a CEO, you should be documenting whatever it is that you want done. For me, that's why I created this thing in the first place. The Prosulum is 5 minutes. I can do a video. Or 10 minutes. I can do a video. Get it documented. Get it off my plate. Cool. Somebody else can do it. Done. I don't need to multitask. I want to focus on the one thing that is going to make me way more money. For me, right now, I have a marketing thing that I am absolutely obsessed with, using AI to do things that that most people don't even think is possible. And it's already starting to get me leads through the door, and I love it. It's so fun. That's the only thing I care about other than my family and my friends and my fun and my working out and all that other stuff. Okay? That's all I care about. That's all I want to do. I want a single task on the things that I love to do. That's the way it should be with a CEO. Okay. Get it documented, get into a process, which then is part of a system, and get it off your plate. Okay. Every time you switch a task, you lose productivity. It's a 40% productivity loss. It's called switching cost. Okay. You always have to refocus. If you notice, if you've ever gotten super deep into something, like a lot of the times I'll start doing something and I'm like, I don't really want to do this. And then I'll start getting deeper and deeper. And then I'm like, oh, 3 hours later, this is so cool. Yeah, I'm so glad I did this. Well, if you constantly are having to move to thing to thing to thing, you never get into that deep, deep, deep work. Okay. That's the goal of this. Focus on one thing. Okay. This is where you can start delegating. I had the hardest time delegating because I had what I needed in my head, and I would say, this is what I need. Can you go and do this for me? Thank you. And they'd be like, yes, sir, we're great. Yeah, we got it. And then it did not matter the skill level of the person. You had the person who was highly skilled, who wanted to make sure they were doing it right so they could please you. And they're going to ask a question to make sure, right? Rightfully so. And so they asked the question, and take you away from your deep work. And it would happen over and over and over again. And I'm like, better just do this myself. Then you have the person who's not good and they're asking you a ton of questions. You're like, why did I spend so much time hiring this person? Now I have to go fire this person and find somebody else. So I had to figure out, how can I get this thing on paper? Because I don't like writing a whole bunch of crap. I don't like writing a whole bunch of process documentation. Nobody does. And so I'm like, I'm going to just do a video. I'm going to train people via virtual systems architects to document them and then do them. That's it. And they do it precisely. They do it so well, and they are freaking top of the top remote workers. Like, good luck finding anyone better than a virtual systems architect, because he ain't going to find them. Ain't going to find them, I promise. And so this is where you delegate via documented processes, okay? Systems create freedom. Documented processes, documented systems create freedom. 5-minute video of what the heck you're doing. Have it documented, preferably with pictures. There's a company out there called Systemology that also does this type of thing, or teaches this type of thing. But I'm like, why would I want to do all this when I can have a VSA do this? When I could have somebody else do it for me? But record a 5-minute video. Document the entire process with pictures. Make it so simple that grandma, your toddler, or even your toddler could do it, right? You can reclaim 80% of your time by getting those processes documented, okay? It creates a checklist, and then you're able to track metrics with it. Onto a dashboard. You could put it onto a dashboard. Have your guys create a process to put it on a dashboard for you. So every day you're like, oh, cool. This is where we're at. Perfect. This makes everything seamless. Onboarding, delegation, everything seamless. And you're able to take vacations. You're able to single-mindedly go do what you want to do whenever you want to do it. Whether it's a virtual systems architect that's helping you or something else. This is how you create freedom in your life. You are the only one that cares about your legacy. So why not singly focus on it? Okay. You should be doing the stuff that only you can do and only you want to do. Okay. As Warren Buffett said, the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. I don't do anything in my business except the things that I love to do. I love figuring out cool little ways to market and to sell and to make my customers feel happy and excited in ways that nobody else will do it. And using AI, using automation, using technology to make our customers feel like they are the most important people in the world. I like doing that. That's just me. Okay. What do you like doing? That's what you need to be doing to build your legacy. It doesn't even have to be about work. So if that sounds cool and you want to time manage like a CEO, go to www.prosulum.com. It is the easiest way to reclaim your time and get a virtual systems architect. If not, just start documenting your systems. It's that easy. Every video I freaking put out has that premise. Document your systems, which will allow you to reduce your workload by like 80%. You'll scale faster. You'll double, triple, quadruple your profits more than likely, especially time-wise. If you're making the same, but instead of working 80 hours a week, you're working 10 hours a week, 5 hours a week, you're making a lot more money per hour. Yeah. And so if that sounds good to you, go to www.prosulum.com/schedule, www.prosulum.com/schedule, and get on a call with us. And if you just want to go check us out, go to www.prosulum.com and start learning how to start systemizing your life. All right. So this is Dean Soto. Start spending your time like a CEO. Start creating the framework that a CEO who's optimized everything in their life toward that single focus of doing what they want when they want to do it. Start building that through systems, through process, through documentation. And I'll see you in the next video.